Recording.
There.
He's not here.
There.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm a.
Going on here front right.
All right. Good morning. A bit of a rush today. I have an Uber picking up to go to the airport at my house at 8:00. So how Gavra? So we left off today's Daf Kuf Yud. We left off around 10 lines in the bottom on Kuf Testament Beis. How Gavra? The first words of the line. The Mashkin Pardisa Lechavre. Sure, thank you. A person. So he had an orchard to be a mashkin. In other words, he let money, and in order for his repayments, he'll go ahead and be on the field until he consumes the payros for a certain amount of years. So if it was last year's done, so he did it for 10 years. That's a shanim. V'kash l'chamesh shanim, and as expected, so the some of the straw and the wood and the vines, they basically dried up after 5 years. So now who gets that wood? Abai Amar Perihavi. That's considered to be fruits, and therefore it should go to the lender, right, who's on this field in order to go ahead and collect his debt. And Rabba says it's Karnehavi. No, it's considered to be part of the actual collateral, the Karen, the principal, and therefore Karnehavi the Kachbo Karka, and then go ahead and sell the wood for it. And then with that, go ahead and buy land or trees or whatever it is, and then grow fruit from there. In other words, you can't go ahead and consume that. It's not considered to be payros that's consumable for the lender. Rather, it's considered to be principal, and therefore sell it and plant from it and eat the payros from that. So let's say a person went ahead and a tree dried out or got cut down. So shneim asurim bo. So both people. If we're talking about a case of between a borrower and lender, who gets it? So both are answers. Okay, said Yasa, what should you do? See, and go ahead and sell that tree that either fell or got cut down or dried up. Sell it for it sells for its value of wood. And then go ahead and purchase the land with it, and then go ahead and eat fruits from there. So my lab yavesh dumit is when it says it dried out, similar to that which it says it was cut down. So man needs us bismana, just like it fell down, in its appropriate time at the end of its life. Saf yavesh, so too that it was an expected dried out bismano, and nevertheless something dries up bismano. We see that you should go ahead and sell it and buy land with it and eat the fruits from there. Alma, what do you see from this dried out tree? That's Karen Havi. It's considered to be the principal. And therefore, you see it's treated as principal, not as payros. So my answer is low. Niktas doing the yavish. Maybe say the other way around, that it fell down just like it dried out. Ma yavish blows mano, just like when it dried out. Perhaps it dried out earlier. Let's say it was disease. So af niktas, so it was cut down below his mano, was early, and that's why it's treated as principal, but not as expected payros. So bottom line, Tashma.
Wow. Ready?
Tashma, come listen. Naful gefanim v'zeisim zikanim. So let's say it fell to her. She was married, and she fell perhaps from a Yerusha, olives, grapes, zikanim, and they were getting old. They were dying out. So you relates and go ahead and sell it for wood value of go ahead and sell it for land, and you eat the payros from there. So you see, it's not treated as payros, it's treated as Karen. So Gemara says, no, aim of Iskino, say maybe that they became old unexpectedly, right? And therefore, that's the reason why it's treated as principal from her estate and not considered to be payros. Or Viboy Sema, right, it wasn't a case where she inherited, let's say, land with trees. Rather, she had inherited land. A tree fell in there. So a tree fell in there, she gets the wood. So over there, that wood is considered to be principal, and go ahead and sell it and buy land and eat the payros from there. Fine. 4 lines from the top, 2 dots. How started the Havi Kasiveshanim stomach? There was a loan that said, I'm lending you money, and for the money that I lent you, I will get repaid by eating from your field. So Malva Amar Shalosh. So the lender says it was a 3-year note, and therefore I'm eating from your land for 3 years. The borrower says, no, it was only 2 years. I should get back the third year. So Kadim Milva Vachli Laperis. So that went ahead. The lender went ahead and basically stayed there on the third year and consumed the Peros. So Mindaman, who is believed? Does he have to go ahead and pay back the borrower? Or does the borrower have to go ahead and bring proof that the lender did not eat the Peros rightfully? So Rabbi Yehuda Amar Karka B'cheskas Ba'ale Kaima. Rabbi Yehuda says the land is the chazaka of the owner, right? So if the case was over here that I lent Mayor money, right? And therefore I said, Mayor, how are you going to pay me back? Give me your field. So I'm going to eat out the field. So I say it was 3 years, I get the field. And Mayor says only 2 years. So according to Rav Yehuda, the chazaka is it's Mayor's land, and therefore if I ate it the third year, I got to go ahead and return it unless I prove otherwise. No, since I'm on the land and I'm eating it for the third year, therefore, since I'm the Eichlin, therefore the chazak is with me. The chazak that's the cheskas of the person, the borrower, the lender, the guy who's eating it. Because it says there's a chazaka there that it's in the eater's possession. Didn't we establish another place? Another case was a case of halachos like Rav Nachman, where there's a dispute over the ownership of a bathhouse. The land or the bathhouse in that case was the chazaka of the owner. So over here, it shouldn't be the chazaka of the eater; it should be of the original owner, the borrower. So my answer is no. Over there was a matter that was not able to be figured out. In other words, there can never be witnesses or whatever the dispute was over there. However, Haka. Milsa Davida Legluyahi. Over here, if there was witness to what was the loan, was it 2 years or 3 years? We're just lacking the witnesses. And therefore, if Basin goes ahead and makes me go ahead and pay Mayor back for the fruit, right? This time. And then all of a sudden I bring proof that it was 3 years, then they're going to make Mayor, go ahead and collect again and give me. So therefore, since it's something that perhaps could be revealed, we don't make the first person pay up because ultimately it could be reversed, and therefore we're next case. Malva Mer Chamesh, very similar case. Mayor borrows money from me, and I seize the land to pay me back. So I say the lender Malva Mer Chamesh. I say it was 5 years. And Leiva Amar Shalosh. And Mayor says, no, it was only 3 years. So 3 years you get to eat in the land. So Amarle, I see the shtarecha. So he said, okay, show me your star that says you get it for 5 years. Amalei, shtara irkasli. I lost the star. Sorry, I lost the star. And therefore I get it for 5 years. So I'm Rav Yehuda, Malva Neman. Right now, I am believe why? Because Migo Diboy, Amar Lekucha Biadi. I can say, I've been ready here 3 years. I could have said I bought it. I have a chazaka. So therefore, believe me when I say 5, because I could have said forever. So I'm Rav Ashi and Rav Zvidar V'Yoloi Svir Luhu Had Rav Yehuda. They don't hold it down. Rav Yehuda says, my time shtara. So what's the reason for the shtar in the first place? So the shtar that says I'm lending Mayor money and I can eat the fruit. Since the whole point of this letter is for me to go ahead and collect a loan, I'm going to be very careful to make sure I don't lose it. And therefore, the reason I really have it, but I'm hiding it. The I'll say, you know what? I'll hide it, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to eat an extra. It really says 3, but I'm going to hide it, so I'm going to try and get 2 extra years out of it. So therefore, says Rav Yehuda, we don't believe it. So I'm going to understand Elamiata. Hi, Mashkanasa, the Surah. Anytime you have a case of a something which is used as a collateral, and from that collateral is used to repay the loan. So hi Mashkanas the Surah, right? That's called the Mashkanas of the Surah. The Kasi Bay from Yishlem Shania Elon. But I understand. So something like that, they should say that when it says over there at the end of the years, forever the loan is. So the land will go back without money because the land was, the loan was paid up through the payers of the land. So hey, so if a guy goes ahead and he hides it, says the reason I have is not as a mashkon, is because I bought it. So what you're saying, the person would be believed to say because he's using even the payros, he owns it. So that's the case. Would the Rabbanan be misaking such a rule? If such a rule is so easy to combat, and just say, "Oh, I lost the star and I own it because." And therefore, so why would it? So he should be believed. So how could a person always have that migo to be believed for the extra years? Because he could have claimed I bought it. Doesn't make sense. Gemara says no. Right, because then the person, right. In other words, he won't use it. No one will borrow to have payros paid back because the guy can seize the land instead of just the payros for a couple of years. Over there, no. The way in our case, the mayor will continue to have ownership over the field, and I won't be able to claim that I bought it, right? Even without a star, right? Because mayor pays the task, he pays the real estate tax. So mayor is paying the real estate tax. That means he is the owner of record. If I indeed bought it for 3 years, I should have paid it. So therefore, that's the proof. So one says, so he says over there, so he pays the taxes, and he's the one who also goes ahead and digs the ditches around there, which is really responsible of the owner. So let's pay but what in a case where you don't need to dig ditches, and there is no real estate tax, similarly, mayor. Right, mayor should have gone ahead and make a macha and say, I was on it for 3 years. So before the 3 years up, the mayor should just say publicly, I didn't sell this land. This land is just used as a milestone. So I love imchamai. Okay, so let's say mayor didn't. So how does it kind of work? So my answer is, well, if mayor didn't make a macha, then he's the one who he was the one who basically caused himself problems. Fine. Next case. Aris Amer Lamachzan. Aris, the sharecropper, says, I'm working for the guy, so I'm working in Yigal's field, and I say, Lamachza, I say, we divided it 50-50, and Yavarati. That's the reason why I went down to work in his field. I'm a sharecropper, you own a field. So I claim, I'm working in the field, season's almost up, we're about to divide it. I say, when I went down to work, the agreement was 50-50. The owner said, no. Yigal says this case, the shlish deceived. No. We contracted, he only gets a third. Yigal's saying he gets 2/3, and Yoel, the Aris, the sharecropper, only get a third. So mean that man, who is the one who is believed there? No, who's the one who's believed, i.e., that the other person would have to bring proof otherwise. So Rav Yehuda says that the Balabayas, in this case, Yigal will be believed to say it's only a third. And Rav Nachman Amar Hakol Kamin Hamadina. I think it's saying, what is the common practice? So some thinking maybe you can hold that is really not a machlokes. Hold about the shakel and say palga, the case where we say that we believe the sharecropper when he says 50%, because that's the standard there. And help you ask the shakel and say tilsa. In the other case where the balabais is believed is where the standard minhag is he only gets a third. Some of the Rav Mari Breit Vassal says Rav Mari, who is the I guess the son of the daughter of Shmuel. No, even in a case where normally the sharecroppers are 50%, Rav Yehuda, he can say that the guy, the landowner, is believed to say a third. Why? Why? You could have turned around and says, yeah, he was working my field, but he was a day worker, and therefore you're a day worker. Here's the minimum wage, which is far less than a third. So since Yigal is saying it was a third, he has a migo to say, I should believe I'm generous because I could have said even less than that. Fine. 2 lines from the bottom. Now another case. The stuff was inherited to children. And however, the father owed the father owed money. Now, so you go ahead and you seize those assets. But the question is, let's say the assignment improved the fields, right? They improved the fields before the creditor comes to go ahead and seize it. Now, if the orphans were the ones who improved it, then he has got to pay the orphans for the extra money. If the father was the one who improved it, so then it's all part of tied to the loan. So he said, they says we were the ones who approved it, you got to pay us for that. And the creditor says, no, it was your father who did it. So who is the one who is the burden of proof? Turn the page. So So says Rav Chanina to say that the land is in the chazaka of the orphans, and therefore it's the chazaka of the orphans, and therefore they're the ones who prove it. Then it is for the owner to go ahead and bring proof. For the owner to bring the burden of proofs on him that the father was the one who improved it, and therefore he has the rights to those improvements. Some of the certain elders said in the name of Rabbi Yechon, this way Rabbi Yechon said, Ali Yisayim will be right. Opposite. No. The orphans have to bring a proof that they're the ones who proved it, not the others. My type of what's the reason? Ora came to command the Gavi dummy. Since that this land was set up to be a collateral, therefore it's like it was as if it was already collected. And if that's the case, the creditor is the muhzak, not the orphans, not the assignment. And therefore it's upon the assignment will have your right to go ahead and bring proof. We also learned similar to this case. Suffix zekadam, suffix zekadam. Let's say there was a tree right near on someone's property, but right near the public way. And the question was, what came first, the public way or the guy's property? If the public way was there first, then I got to go ahead and chop down the tree with a zero compensation. If my tree was there first and then the public way came afterwards, so then the owner would have a right to compensation. So something so we don't know which case. So kite says we cut down the tree. We do not then pay money to the guy. Alma, what do you see from there? Came to the miketz kaimi. I mean, I see right. I have a shackle. Since we say it's as if it was already cut down, so it was as if, even though it wasn't cut down yet, it's as if it's cut down, and therefore it is cut down. But you want to get paid, you got to bring proof. I don't have a shackle. So hachinami. So in this case, high shtara. When it comes to the creditor, kevan the gavayna kaimi. Since it is supposed to be collected, it's as if command the gavi. It's as if it was already collected by the creditor. And therefore, if the assignment say we were the ones that proved it, Al Yisayim Lavi Raya, they have to go ahead and bring Raya. And I say Asmi Raya, and therefore they have to go ahead and bring proof that it was them who Al Yisayim Lavi Raya. So I say Asmi Raya Dino Shmikro. So let's say they brought proof that they're the ones who actually did improve it. You're right, they did it. To hold to say, so let's say, let's just give an example. The field was worth $100, okay? And the guy was collecting, the creditor was trying to collect a loan, and the kids made it worth $150. So if he collects it, they say, hey, 50 of that is ours. So how does he pay them back? So when he pays them for the shevach, if they brought proof indeed that they were the ones who did the improvements, so he has to go ahead and give them land for $50. However, that's not true. You don't have to give land, really, but the main message you even give only cash, which is not as good. There are three people that you can pay with money and not land. And therefore, you can pay them off with only money. Let's say somebody was a Bechor and he took a double portion. Turns out that he was not a Bechor. So therefore, when he pays the other brothers, let's say the Bechor improved it. So the other brothers pay him the for the improvements, but they only give him cash. Also, a creditor or a woman collecting the ksuva from her orphans. Once again, if the orphans improved it, they pay them cash. And also a creditor to a buyer. Now, let's say, once again, I borrow money from Yigal. So there's Yigal doesn't trust me. There's a piece of land here. So if I don't pay you back, then you'll collect this land. Okay. Meanwhile, I sell the land to Mark. So Mark owns land. All of a sudden, Yigal says, you didn't pay me back. I'm collecting the land. Well, it was sold. So now Yigal, actually his lien is before I sold it to Mark. So therefore, Yigal can go ahead and take the land from Mark. However, if Mark made improvements, he needs to be compensated for those improvements. So therefore, those are paid to the buyers.
Just like a token in general.
Even in general, that's even buyers. So if there was a creditor before, so therefore, right, the creditor really had the lien on it first. If he sold it to somebody else, so therefore, you can go ahead and collect it from the buyers. So Amalei Ravin Ravashi, so the Memra the Sever Shmuel Balchev Lekaychos, right? Okay, right? Are you telling me that according to Shmuel that it's so obvious, it's so pashut then not, we're talking about a case of cash, that Mark actually does get compensated. Does he for his improvements? Shmuel.
So he's always safe.
No, he's not safe. He bought the land from me, but it turns out the land was he's going to. Well, now we're questioning it. We said before the improvements he's safe, right? In other words, he gets the improvements from you, and now he has to go ahead and get my money back because I sold him the land. But now the Gemara says, who says it so clear that you even pay him for the improvements? I Shmuel, right? The Yigal can go ahead and collect the improvements without getting compensated. Maybe like this. Maybe when the improvements we're talking about, the market gets paid from Yigal, we're talking about, let's say it was a field, that the crops were already up to the shoulders. They're ready to be cut off. Since they're ready to be cut off and harvested, it's as if they're already harvested. So the corn is right there. So Yigal can't take the corn claiming that it's part of the land. It's clearly crops and not part of the land. So maybe those is what Yigal pays back. So there's mice all the time where Shmuel used to go ahead and collect from buyers the creditor, give it to the creditors. And even the corn that was growing up to the shoulders without compensating the purchaser. The Gemara says like kasha. The masik leid kashir ara v'shivcha. How do I masik beishir ara v'shivcha? No, it's like this. Let's say I borrowed. It was $150. Okay, it was $150. Now the land over here that I sold Mark was $100. Okay, Mark took the land of $100 and made improvements to $150. So when Yigal goes ahead and collects the land, it's worth $150. How much was the loan? $150. So therefore, that's the case where he doesn't have to pay the guy for the shevach. But if the loan was only $100, right? In other words, the two of them together equal the loan. But if Yigal was only owed $100 and the land was originally $100 and Mark made it $150, then you have to go ahead and pay Mark because you don't get ahead. You don't get an extra $50.
After my principle.
Correct. That's what the Gemara wants to say. So the Gemara says, not even the Gemara even questions asked. And let's say where the loan is not. So let's go back to the case where the loan was $100 and now the improvements and now it's $150. You can go ahead and give him money. Now let's say he wants to go ahead and Yigal will give him money for it and say, okay, just take the money. Here's your $50 and give me the land. So right now, there's a machlokes whether, let's say Mark has cash. So Mark says, you know what, Yigal, I know you have a loan that Yoel didn't pay you. Here's the money for the loan. Instead of taking land, here's the money, right? And then instead of Mark going out to get his purchase price and not having the land, at least Mark will have the land. He'll just try to get the money back that he paid you for, right? So if he, according to the person who says he, this it works good. But according to the opinion holds that if Mark does have the money to go ahead and pay him, but namely, let Mark go ahead and say, if I would have had, I know if I would have had money, I could have stopped you from collecting any of the land, right? In theory, but now to less says Mark says, look, I don't have the $150 the $100 you owed. At least give me the money back or the amount of land equal to my sheva. So why is the Yigal able to go ahead and take the whole land just because Mark doesn't have money? He shouldn't be able to do it. At least give him back the sheva. The Grand says, that he says no, that we're not talking about a case where Mark can go ahead and give him money. Rather, we're talking about a case of where that the deal was the loan. What I did with the Yigal was basically that the loan will be collected from this land, wherever it is. So therefore, since this is a paitiki, it's stronger than regular land, which is just backed up any loans. Therefore, it's a case of paitiki. That's the reason why Mark can go ahead, why Yigal can go ahead and seize the land without paying for it. All right, we're going to stop here at the Mishnah.
Yes.
But everyone have a wonderful day, and we will.